Lauren Majera and Brandon Kennard with Newsline 9's Pack Attack.
Tonight's Pack Attack is a celebration. The Green Bay Packers slaughtered NFC North rival Chicago Bears in front of the entire country in the biggest stage of football. Welcome to Pack Attack. I'm Newsline 9 Sports Director Lauren Majera, joined by Brandon Kennard. Now, I talked to a couple of defensive backs after the game, and they told me they expected a game like this. Brandon, do you think that anyone else could have predicted a game like that?
I don't know if you can ever expect a National Football League team to be up 42-0 against another National Football League team at halftime, or expect a quarterback to throw six touchdown passes in a half.
Wouldn't that be nice if you could just expect that every game?
It would be. It might get a little boring after a while, but if one guy's going to do it, it's probably Aaron Rodgers, and I'll just say it. He's playing the best football of his career right now.
Well, the Packers improved to 6-3 behind an incredible offensive performance by Aaron Rodgers. Let's take a closer look at how this game went. This game started fast. Let's look at the first quarter. Aaron Rodgers off play action connects with Brandon Bostic for a touchdown, and it's 7-0 Packers. Now stay with me here because there's a lot more where that came from. Next drive, it's Rodgers to Andrew Corliss, 14-0 Green Bay. And the next drive, A-Rod going deep this time. We've seen this a few times this season. Jordy Nelson hauls it in, takes it 73 yards to the house. Pack up 21-0. Rodgers' third touchdown pass of the quarter, but he's not done, is he, Brandon?
Not even close. Jordy again. Look at the toe tap there on the sideline, and he's fired up. 28-0 Green Bay. And, hey, this worked well in New Orleans. Trying the screenplay again. Eddie Lacy takes it all the way to the house. Look at the wideouts down there blocking, too. That's nice. 50-plus yards, and then maybe the best catch of the day, Randall Cobb. Actually, I'll check that. Maybe the best catch of the season, Randall Cobb. 42-0 Packers at the break, and they absolutely embarrass the Bears. 55-14 in front of a primetime audience, 315 yards passing, and 6 TDs for Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is now 13-1 against the Bears. And after the game, I spoke to a couple of the players, and I had to ask, what is it about the Bears that brings out the best in the Packers?
I don't know. We just come in, we play. I don't know if it's just a matchup, if we match up well against them or not. Sometimes that's what it comes down to.
I don't know. I've played him 4 times. I feel like we just play fundamental defense. And like I said earlier in the week, he tries to make those pinpoint throws, and we kind of just can make plays on him.
It is now time to bring out our special player guest. Let's bring out former Badger, current Packers wide receiver, Jared Abbrederis.
Yeah. How you doing?
Welcome to the show, Jared.
Hi, Jared. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming. What a crowd you bring out tonight.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and boy, was the bye week good to the Packers.
Definitely was, especially with the way we played yesterday. It was good to see that.
Well, everyone was kind of worried about Rodgers' hamstring and being a problem after he tweaked it in New Orleans, but it was actually quite the opposite. Aaron Rodgers threw 6 touchdown passes in just the first half of play. Now, that tied the franchise record for most in a game and ties the NFL record for most touchdowns in a half. Would you say he's kind of good at football?
Yeah, I would say he's a pretty good quarterback. That was one impressive performance yesterday, especially the first half, the way we jumped out on him. That was really impressive to see. It was fun watching. I wish I could have been out there with him.
Now, of course, they're beneficiaries of Rodgers' excellent play. Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, the most prominent two. Jordy had 2 more touchdown catches on Sunday, and I think the one that stands out the most is Rodgers kind of dancing around the pocket, rolls out to his right, and finds Jordy in the corner of the end zone. You see it here. Now, this doesn't just happen, does it? As a wide receiver, can you speak to the amount of hours that go into perfecting chemistry like that?
Yeah, they've been together, for a long time now, so obviously they have that interconnection, the chemistry, but we work on that a lot in practice, working on making sure we get extra work, getting on the scramble drills and things like that, and so that's something that we really work on, and obviously pays off in the games. You see Cobb gets a couple each game, it seems like, and Jordy had a couple, so it's really impressive to see them go out there and actually perform it.
Now, when you say chemistry, that's something that you describe when it's kind of one of those unspoken things. How do you work on chemistry?
It's just being around, you know, for as long as it's been. It's just being around, you know, earning that trust. You know, Aaron Rodgers does a good job of kind of explaining what he wants, you know, from his receivers. And so, you know, for those guys to, you know, take that in and pay attention to it and actually, you know, put it to work on the field, I think that's just kind of how you build that chemistry and build that connection.
Now, on the flip side of Aaron Rodgers, let's talk about the Bears a little bit. There's Jay Cutler, and I'm sure that that's something that people in here maybe want to applaud a little bit. Cutler just has a habit of imploding against the Packers. He threw as many TD passes for Green Bay last night as he did for Chicago. And you know, sometimes you look at the sideline and you wonder whether or not those guys are behind Jay Cutler. And there's no doubt that you guys are behind Aaron Rodgers. As a former quarterback yourself, can you speak to how important following that leader of the team is?
Yeah, we go as Aaron goes, and I think that's important. The quarterback has to be your leader. You know, and when you see the quarterback leading a team, you're going to see a lot of success. So, you know, the defense, you know, goes around him, the offense, the whole team, special teams. So we go as he goes, and that's definitely important.
Now, I know you may be a little bit biased toward the offense, but you cannot break down this game without talking about the defense. They kept the Bears scoreless in the first half. 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions. One of them is a pick 6. What's it like to see defense clicking so well like that?
Well, you can't win championships without defense, so it's good to see our defense all year. They've been playing really well. Hopefully they keep that up, and I think they will. But it's fun watching them go out there and shut down, you know, opposing offenses, and that, you know, makes our team better when we get to go against them during the week.
Now, as long as we're talking about defense, let's talk about the leader of the D. Clay Matthews really stood out on Sunday night. He moved from outside linebacker to inside linebacker, and I think it's safe to say it really worked out for him. He was flying all over the field Sunday, recorded 11 tackles and 1 sack. Now, do you ever just marvel at how fast, strong, and versatile he is?
Yeah, he's a great player. It's not easy switching positions. Obviously, I went, you know, quarterback to receiver, so you see him there making plays. But you know, it's not easy doing that. So really impressive the way he does that. Special player. Obviously, you know, he's earned that over the years, and he keeps improving, you know, each day.
It's almost like watching a car roll over an empty can of pop. Or something like that.
Yeah, that play where he stuffed the end around was phenomenal.
That was impressive.
We're sitting under the stadium watching on TV, and you can always hear the roar of the crowd before it happens, so we're kind of wondering, oh, what's going on? And we weren't expecting that, but
yeah,
definitely drew some eyes on the television sets. Now, we've talked about the other 2 phases of the game. Let's touch on special teams a little bit. One play here that I don't want to let go to waste because it was so unique. It kind of sums up the entire Bears night. Your wide receiver, mate, Jared Boykin, gets in there and gets a foot on the football before the punter can. What was the reaction in the box like when you're watching that?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I'm the one that kind of picked it up. I was like, he just kicked the football. I mean, you don't ever see that, you know, too often. Usually it's with the hands, you know, you try to get in there, but he got in there really quick, you know, made a good move, made the guy miss, and did a really good job. So that was awesome to see.
Now, it's almost difficult not to laugh at some of the things that happened on Sunday night's game. Is this still one of the NFL's most heated rivalry, or are the Packers pulling away?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple good years with them, but obviously, you know, last year was a good year for us. You know, playing against them, being a fan, I was, you know, as I was, being able to watch that. There's always going to be those good contests. I mean, you know, 1 or 2 might get away, but you know, whenever there's that rivalry like that, you know, people, you know, play to the best of their potential, and that's what makes it so great.
Well, we are just getting started here on Pack Attack. When we return, our Say What segments, and we're going to get to know Jared Abbrederis a little bit better. We are back on Pack Attack. I'm Newsline 9 Sports Director Laura Majera, joined by Brandon Kinnard, and what seems to be everybody's favorite Packer, Wisconsin native, wide receiver Jared Abbrederis. Now, we will start with our Say What segment, and we are going to begin it with some college football. Travis Wilson threw it to Callan Clay in this Utah-Oregon game, and it looks like he runs it in for a 78-yard touchdown. But check this out. He drops the ball before crossing into the end zone in celebration. And, of course, they're celebrating. But Oregon's Joe Walker realizes what happened. He returns the ball 99 yards the other way for the touchdown. Now, even the announcers were saying, what's going on the field? Jared, can you imagine? How embarrassing.
Yeah, touchdowns don't come easy, so I don't know why you wouldn't just hang onto the ball a couple more steps. Had to be pretty embarrassing, you know, seeing that. I actually watched it, so when I saw it happen, I was like, what's going on here? That's just crazy.
Do they ever teach you how to run through the end zone? I mean, obviously Packers are used to it. They run to the Lambeau Leap, so it's like you're trained to go all the way.
Yeah, that's why Coach likes us to give the ref the ball, so that when we score, make sure we score, give him the ball like a true professional, and that's kind of what he wants us to do.
Let's move to the NFL now, and this one focuses on one of your fellow rookies, and as a matter of fact, a former teammate. Former Wisconsin linebacker Chris Borland is having one heck of a season for the San Francisco 49ers. 17 tackles on Sunday, and this fumble recovery in overtime to set up the Niners win. I know it's tough because he's playing for a rival, but it's got to be nice to see him doing well.
Yeah, anytime you see a former Badger or a teammate do well, it makes you happy. He's a heck of a player, a really good guy, obviously, being with him all the time. Special guy, special talent, and glad to see him, having his opportunity in the NFL and taking advantage of it.
And speaking of your former teammates, Melvin Gordon is having an amazing season for the Badgers. Just take a look at this play from Saturday. One of his 2 touchdowns against Purdue, he leaps into the end zone. Now he has 19 touchdowns and over 1,500 rushing yards now. He seems to be on everyone's Heisman shortlist. Do you think he's going to be able to win it?
I mean, I think no doubt he should win it. I think he's one of the most explosive players in college football. Week after week, he's gaining 200+ yards. It seems like so. I mean, I don't see why not. He shouldn't be the top of the Heisman list, but we'll see. I'm not one of the voters, obviously, but special player, really good guy, and happy to see his success.
Do you still follow his success, follow the Badgers, and do you ever text him afterward saying good game?
Yeah, we talk probably like once a week, I would say. Most of the receivers, Stave, reach out to him, a couple other guys on the team. So it's good to kind of connect with them, see how they're doing, and just, they're my teammates. I miss them, so it's fun to kind of connect with them.
Let's get to know you a little bit better. You grew up not too far from here in Watoma, Wisconsin, where you played quarterback in high school.
Yep.
Now, these are highlights from the Division IV state championship game in 2008. What do you remember about this game?
Man, it was cold. I remember our water on the sidelines. It was iced over.
Oh.
So my dad and one of my friends' fathers was our water boys, we called them. And they always had to break the ice on the top. But it was freezing. That was a great night. I just remember the feeling before the game. That was kind of our goal all along to win a championship, and so we were able to do that. And after the game, it was just a big sigh of relief and just that feeling of just enjoyment. Being able to do that after all those years, it was awesome.
Well, then you decided to walk on to Wisconsin. And what's it like having to work your way up from the bottom up?
It's difficult, but it's awesome. Just being able to start at the bottom and work your way up. Nothing was really given to me, and that's kind of what I take out of it. Trying to, it wasn't all on the platter for me. It was like, here, you got to go work for it, and I kind of like that. I'm a hard worker. I feel like, that's kind of how I was grown, or that's how I grew up. That's how my family, the morals that they taught me and things like that. So being able to do that was definitely awesome. It obviously paid off. So. Just blessed to have that opportunity to go there and be a walk-on and do it the hard way.
And obviously it worked out for you. You eventually kind of break onto even the national scene, become one of the biggest players for the Badgers, and doing it all, returning punts, catching touchdown passes, kickoffs, you name it. What's it like? I mean, do you ever, now that you're done, or even when it was going on, do you ever kind of take a step back, take a deep breath, and say, wow, this is really special?
I think it's more, now that I don't have that, that's really when I look back and see how great it was. I miss being out there, kind of like I was saying earlier, just being around the teammates there. The whole locker room is great. The coaches, the players, the type of people that they bring in is all special. And so, you look back at it and you kind of miss it. You know how, great you had it, having all those guys around you. So definitely miss it. But it was a, great couple of years there. And, now it's on to the next step.
And then you get drafted by the Packers. You get to go live in a city that you live about an hour and a half from your whole life, and a team that no doubt you rooted for your whole life.
Yep.
Is that just a dream come true?
It is, yeah. I remember when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I wanted to be a Packer, and I wanted to be a receiver. And so I remember in high school when I got moved to quarterback, I didn't think it was going to happen. I'm like, yeah, well, I guess I'm not, my dream's not going to happen. I'm not going to be a receiver in the NFL. And then, it takes a 180 when I, go to Madison and become a receiver. So it was kind of crazy how, that was my dream all along, and then, kind of switched up and then got back to it. So then to get drafted by your home team, the team that you've been rooting for ever since you were a little boy, it's awesome. So, yeah.
Well, I actually also wanted to be a receiver for the Packers when I was 4 years old, so I'm glad it worked out for one of us at least.
It's that you get to interview receivers
Exactly.
for the Packers. It worked out.
I
God
guess it
works
worked
in
out for
mysterious
both
ways. Well, one thing I remember is covering the Packers owners meeting this summer at Lambeau. And when Ted Thompson walked out, he got a standing ovation. When he took the microphone, he said in front of everyone, all I have to do is draft a Badger and I get the royal treatment. So obviously, I mean, he was joking around a little bit, but what's it like to walk into an NFL franchise and kind of be the golden boy?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm the golden boy.
Ted Thompson's calling you out in front of all the owners.
But no, I mean, it's definitely great to have all that support, you know, of the state of Wisconsin. Obviously, you know, growing up here, you know, I love being here. So I didn't really think it was going to happen, you know, 10 years since a Badger was drafted. And so, you know, it was kind of, for me, it was, you know, the last team I thought I would get picked by. And so when it happened, it was just awesome. And just to have the support, a lot of people were like, do you feel pressured to, you know, to excel and things like that? But I just felt like I had a lot of support, and that was great.
And then you go into camp, and objectivity aside, I think we were all a little bit disappointed when we saw you go down with the ACL injury. How difficult was that, and what is the rehab process like?
Yeah, I would say I was a little disappointed as well. Obviously, I wanted to be out on the field this year, but it's been tough. You know, just trying to get all your range of motion back, get the strength back in your legs, things like that, getting running again. So it's obviously not an easy path, but I think there's benefits in everything, and so you just got to look to the positives and try to find that and just use that to fuel your fire.
But you'll be back? I think
Yep,
everyone
I'll
wants
be
to hear
back.
it.
Yep, that's
okay,
the plan.
sounds good. Much more to come on Pack Attack, including your questions from the sideline, and we have a special surprise for Jared when we come back. Welcome back to Pack Attack. It is now time for some trivia. Let's take a look at question number 1. We talked about Melvin Gordon a little bit. Now he has 1,501 rushing yards with the Badgers this season, probably in reach of the Wisconsin record for most rushing yards in a season. Who holds that record?
Well, there's got to be two, I would say, either Rondane or Monty Ball. I would have to go with Rondane.
Very good. Rondane, he set that back in 1996.
His freshman season. Now, that was an easy one. Let's toughen it up a little bit here. The Packers drafted you in the 5th round this past season. How many Badgers overall were selected in the 2014 draft?
Give me some time and I'll know.
5 seconds.
I'm going to say 5.
That is correct.
Yep.
Can you name them?
Name them.
Yep. So we got Des Southward, Chris Borland, James White, me, and Bo Allen.
I think that's in order, too, if I'm not mistaken.
What a memory. Now, for this last trivia question, I usually spend part of the day digging into our special player guests' past.
Ooh.
And this one was easy because you're just down the road. But nevertheless, we had a couple of guests on the show that want to ask you this next trivia question.
Football coach Mike Cleforth. And I'm assistant football coach and head track coach Andy DeKaiser. And Mike Cleforth and I are standing at the Jared Abbrederis Shrine at Wautoma High School, which seems to be missing a Packer jersey, by the way, Jared. And Jared, we do have a trivia question for you. Coach Cleforth?
Hey, when you were a senior and you were on the cover of BFS magazine, what year or what months and year was the publication? What months and year was the BFS cover publication from your senior year?
Geez, I don't know how I'm supposed to know that. What year it'd have to be, it probably came out, I would guess, at the end of my senior year, so 2009, I'm hoping. And month, I don't know, March? I don't
Let's see if your coaches say the answer.
July and August 2009.
Oh, it's close.
You know, your coaches are calling you out a little bit. You know, they're standing in front of the Jared Abbrederis Shrine. They said there's this Badgers jersey. There's no Packers jersey.
We'll have to get them one shipped out there.
Yeah, you have to. You know, they're trying to call you out in front of everyone.
Yep.
Well, we're not the only ones who get to ask Jared questions. Our viewers have been submitting them on social media. With that, we'll toss it to Dave Calloway for your questions from the sideline.
Man, it's easy to get everybody rowdy because what a game. How about those Packers? I mean, really. My favorite, because what we do is on the sidelines here is we get all these great questions from Twitter and for Facebook. And Facebook last night, somebody had chimed in with us and they said, hey, I just woke up and I saw that the final score was 55-14. The Bears scored 14 points. Dom Capers must go. Serious, yeah. And now for you, Jared, our question, you earned your degree in human development and family services. So if you weren't an NFL player, what would you be doing?
Well, I went to school. I started at Madison being kinesiology, but all the classes, were offered later in the evening, so I couldn't take them. So I had to switch to HDFS, and with that, I can still go on to physical therapy. I still took a lot of the classes that I needed, but I'd have to go back for 12 credits in order to go on to grad school for that.
There you go. Hey, and also we want to ask about touchdowns last night. Could you gauge which touchdown at the stadium were people getting out of the game, emotionally, or did they stick with it pretty much through the game?
I think they stuck with it just because it was such a great, first half. I would say the second half is, eventually in the second half it started going down. But, it's such a great, exciting game, with a lot of points, obviously on the offensive side. So they stuck with it pretty good.
There you go. Jared, it's great having you here tonight. We get all our questions from Twitter, Facebook here for questions from the sidelines. Just go ahead and on Twitter, at PackAttack9, put your question right there. We'll check it out and get it on the air. Those are the questions from the sidelines.
Thank you so much, Dave. Don't go anywhere. We're just going to take a short break, and when we come back, Pack a Toss.
Now it's time for the Miller Lite Pack a Toss. A 30-second test of speed, focus, pinpoint control. How many footballs can tonight's guest throw into the target?
We are here with special player guest wide receiver Jared Abbrederis, but he used to be a quarterback, so we'll see if he's still got it. During the commercial break, people in the audience are making bets on you. So no pressure, but
yeah. Well, rookies have ruled so far. Corey Lindsley and Devontae Adams on top. Lauren, we did it last week. We're not going to talk about that, though.
Shh, don't remind people.
And now, Jared, Ted Thompson said when he drafted you that you did everything but sell hot dogs at Wisconsin. That's part of the reason he brought you in. So we'll see if that carries over.
Yeah.
All right, let's step up to the line. On your marks, get set, go.
Ooh.
Well, that's a little bit high. All right, these are going everywhere. He's got quite an arm.
Here. Quicker, quicker.
A little bit high,
Dang.
a little bit to left. You can do it, Jared.
Get on the board.
You have about 13 seconds left with one. You have 10 seconds left. Oh, that was so close. 5 seconds. 2, 1. Time is up.
I swear that hole's getting smaller every
smaller
week.
and smaller. You know
every
what?
week.
We'll let you keep on catching the footballs instead of throwing them. I think the Packers are onto something with you in a wide receiver.
That's why I switched to receiver right there.
Perfect. When we come back, we'll take a look at how the division stacks up. Don't go anywhere. Good job.
Yeah.
And you